somebody activated some kind of a chip. What an amazing start to a new. This is crazy. What a year we must be in store for. I think this is going to be a good one to start it off. I mean, this is like the biggest show we've had in a long time. There's so many things to talk about. I don't even think I'm going to have a chance to get to half of the stuff that I want to talk about because it's been nuts. A lady, for starters, I'm recording this the day that a woman was shot by ICE. There's massive protests, probably going to be riots tonight in Minneapolis. It looks to be that the shooting was justified. We'll be talking about that kind of an early reaction. Maybe more details and information will come out. I assume that some of them will. We literally kidnapped Maduro. We just showed up to Venezuela. This is the craziest thing that I've ever seen happen. It's awesome, by the way. We'll be talking, of course, about the Venezuela situation. The Monroe Doctrine is alive and well. And I will outline how there's some distinctions between what's happening right now with Venezuela and what's happened over the years in the Middle East with regime change, even what happened historically back in the day when we tried to get rid of, Cuba, and there were so many different pieces of information. But the Monroe Doctrine, I love it. Trump is on fire. Something's going on. It's amazing. The vaccine schedule, he just cut a whole bunch of vaccines from the recommended list for children. Chef's kiss. This is incredible. We had a transgender lunatic. This one, I mean, think of how crazy this story is, but because of everything else that's been going on, this is like the little kid story of the day. It's the one nobody's paying attention to. A transgender with a hammer attacked J.D. Vance's home. He was trying to break in. He was smashing it with stuff. And go figure. I'm not surprised. But anyway, in light of this massive day, let's start off the best way that I know how and start the year, the new year off the very best way that I know how. It's by taking a minute to give glory and honor to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Whatever this year may, it could be an interesting one. Whatever this year may include for you and your family, for this country, for the political, the cultural, all of it. I hope and I pray that you make your foundation through all things, through the good, the bad. Make it Jesus Christ. This is not something I intended to talk about, but it came to me and I'm not going to ignore it. I posted about this yesterday. Somebody on X, they had kind of just posed the question. They said, be honest, do you believe that God answers prayers? And if you're watching or listening, radio folks, you got to stick with me through this, but everybody else, you guys can skip forward if you're so inclined. But somebody asked the question, does God answer prayers, yes or no, in your experience? I said, yes, absolutely, 100%. I've seen it before my very eyes. I don't get into like this part of my life very much. I keep my family very private. But there was a time where one of my sisters had a very serious traumatic brain injury. She should have died. I mean, at the very least, she should have never been the same. That level, broken skull, horrible swelling, all kinds of stuff. Pretty serious deal. And we saw literal miraculous healing in a way that doesn't make sense. We're talking about the kind of injury where they don't know if you're ever going to talk again, whether you're going to eat solid foods ever again. She walked out of the hospital a couple days later. And so I don't know why that played out the way that it did, but I know God was involved, right? I don't know his plan. When I say I don't know why, obviously I know the why, but I don't understand his plan. Certainly not in its full capacity the way that he does. So I have seen in my life prayers come true. Prayers be answered is a better way to say that. I have also seen, I think maybe all prayers are answered. It's that we don't always get the answer we wanted. So I've seen yeses. I've seen with my own eyes a prayer to God be answered exactly the way I wanted it to play out. I saw my sister be miraculously healed. I also saw, for example, when Charlie Kirk died, I, much like many of you, literally dropped to my knees and prayed maybe more fervently than I've ever prayed in my entire life for, I don't know, it felt like an eternity, a couple hours from the time we got the news that he was shot until the time that we got the news that he had passed away. And I was not the only one. There were millions of people diligently praying that Charlie Kirk would be miraculously saved. And that didn't happen. That wasn't in God's plan. The most difficult thing is not that prayers are answered or not answered. It's that some get a yes and some we don't understand. But God's not going to, his understanding, his plan far exceeds any understanding that we will have this side of paradise. I can't wait for the day that I'm in heaven with him and I can see the full picture, the canvas, the beautiful canvas that's been painted by the creator of heaven and earth, and all of it will be according to his glory and his plan, which is much better than ours. But that's the difficult part, not whether or not God answers prayers, but having faith in him and knowing that even if the answer isn't what I selfishly wanted with my limited understanding, that he knows and that his answer is the correct one, even though in the moment, for us with our limited understanding, it can seem difficult. But anyways, I just, that came to my mind, so maybe somebody needed that today. I don't know. But I hope that your foundation going into the new year is one of Jesus Christ. Now, with that said, we don't have a ton of time for dilly-dally today. The ICE shooting. Let's hop in with that, because there's been a lot of controversy. This we're in the day and age of social media, so this immediately went online. Very, very viral. The first headline that you see is from these, slop, garbage, rag, mainstream media outlets that are saying that there was a woman shot, an American shot and killed by ICE while fleeing the scene. So, of course, you get this image that there's some woman like on foot running away. No, please, please, no. And they just shoot her in the back of the head or something like that. Obviously, that is not what happened. She hit them with her car. So you can see the video. I have it up on my social media. I have it up on my X. If you would like to see it, you can do so. You can find it on there. She backs her car up. Beep, beep, beep. There's an ICE agent directly 12 o'clock right in front of her. She hits the gas. The guy kind of turns, sees that he's got a car coming directly at him. Got a really quick draw on this guy. He must have trained that, or he was just a fast guy. I don't know. Anyways, he gets some rounds down range, and he kills this woman in self-defense, what appears to be self-defense. Now, here's what I'll say as a bit of a disclaimer at the start of this. Typically, I have a general rule on the show that we avoid talking about things until there's been at least a chance for the dust to kind of settle, for us to get a little bit of a bigger picture. This is one of those things, like I criticize the mainstream media for the way that they presented this story from go. They immediately frame it in a very dishonest way. They make it seem like ICE just murdered some lady with absolutely no explanation, which clearly that's not the case. But I try to be an honest broker whenever it comes to this kind of stuff and not do my part in that exact same problem. I try not to throw in my uneducated take. But this one, we have the video. It seems to be pretty straightforward. We have a bullet hole through the front windshield. And so that's one of the big pieces of evidence that people are going to be focusing on, would be my guess. I'm not a criminal defense attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. But, some people say, oh, he was to the side of the vehicle. Oh, she was not going to hit him. She was this, she was that. There's a bullet hole through the front windshield. I have the picture of it available on my X. You can see it for yourself. You can see the video. I think what a lot of people saw is there's actually two officers in the video. So at first viewing, they didn't understand. They thought that the officer closer to the cameraman was the one who pulled the trigger. It was actually one directly behind him, but in front of the car. He was hit. I mean, we have it on video. It certainly appears that he was hit sufficient enough that it moved him, what looks to be 2 or 3 feet, perhaps. And so, anyways, we're now being told by DHS Kristi Noem that this crazy individual was chasing them, stalking them, and, harassing law enforcement all day. She was trying to, impede what they were doing. Her Facebook supposedly says that she was a professional, agitator or something. So I don't know, maybe she girl bossed too close to the sun on this one. I don't relish in the fact that she lost her life. I think that this is something that I myself have to be careful of. Or I will potentially slip into a sinful mindset whenever it comes to this. We should not be happy when anyone dies. Maybe I shouldn't say that. There's a time, perhaps. But we shouldn't be happy to see somebody die in this kind of a way. I don't relish in the death of a woman like this. I think she was stupid. I think what she was doing was profoundly stupid. I think that she brought this upon herself. I think that the officer was justified in the use of lethal force to defend himself and others, 110%. I'm still not happy that she's dead. I mean, that's where you get into a pretty callous, hardened heart kind of thing. Maybe if it was like Hitler that was died, thumbs up, the war's over, that's a different story. But this lady, I mean, I'm not glad that she's dead. I'm also not glad that it appears that she was not a Christian. She had some blog posts where she talked about purposefully destroying Bibles. So we really should not relish in the idea that somebody went to the grave devoid of a relationship with Christ, because that means she will spend eternity in hell. And so I'm certainly not happy about that, because hell is the very same punishment. It's the justice for the same crime that I've committed. I have also sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And so we have to remind ourselves we're only going to heaven not by our own works, not by our own goodness, but by the grace of Almighty God. We deserve to go to the same place that she's going. And so it's unfortunate that we will probably not be spending eternity with her, though perhaps she had a change of heart at some point. I don't know. But either way, I'm not glad that the woman is dead. But what I will tell you is, at first view, being a provocateur, being somebody who did not listen to the lawful order of law enforcement, she is told to get out of the car. They're trying to open the door, and she punches it. She floors it in the direction of law enforcement. I've been asking people this thought experiment. First question, first of two. What do you think that the police officer should have done? Perfect world, with hindsight, with all of that stuff, with knowledge that he never could have had in the moment. Looking back, what do you wish he would have done? Maybe dive out of the way, maybe whatever, I don't know. Maybe you wanted him to do exactly what he did. I think he was fully justified in it. Next, what do you think she should have done? In a perfect world, same scenario, what do you think she should have done? Maybe comply with law enforcement. Maybe not floor it when you have a cop in front of your car. You don't know where everybody is. You ever driven in a parking lot? You're not 100% sure where everybody is. You know there's people around your car. You know what you don't do? You don't floor it. There's a really good way not to get shot by police officers. It's to comply with the order that they give you. So anyways, as we look at the situation in Minnesota, and we have the National Guard, we have Tim Walz. Tim Walz is really concerning a lot of people because folks think that we're starting to kind of flirt with getting in the direction of a civil war. Now, I'm not predicting that we have a civil war. In fact, I would predict kind of the opposite. I don't think that that's going to happen. However, I understand why people are starting to kind of scratch their heads. Tim Walz is talking about how never has a state been at war with the federal government, which... he's not a smart guy. I don't know if he's not familiar with what happened in the 1850s. We had a whole civil war where there were states that were at war with the federal government. But anyways, why would a governor of a state, especially under the current circumstances, start talking about the idea of the state being at war with the federal government? He also made reference to the idea that it's our National Guard. It's his National Guard, not President Trump's National Guard. That, that would be an insurrection, by the way, if President Trump issues a lawful order to the National Guard and Tim Walz tries to take command of the Guard and say, no, you're going to listen to me, you're not going to listen to President Trump, and God forbid the Guard was to listen, then we have a serious problem. But that's an insurrection. Like, that is totally an insurrection. It's a rebellion. If there's some sort of a conflict between National Guard and ICE, and oh my gosh, there's so many layers of that could get very complicated very, very quickly. So we have this going on. I also, really quick, I want to mention, there's been a lot of people acting like this woman who was driving the car, she turned her wheel a little bit to the right. She did. And you know what? I'm going to extend an olive branch, and I'm going to be super, super honest with you. Some people are like this take. Some people won't like this take. I think there's a very good chance that a very good chance it was not that woman's intention to kill that law enforcement officer. I think that is entirely possible. I've seen plenty of people say she tried to do this, she tried to do that, she was blah, 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 she was trying to flee. You know what? I don't know. I can't read minds. I think it's equally possible in either direction. Maybe she was trying to hit the law enforcement. Maybe she was just trying to flee. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't care what she was trying to do. I don't care if she was trying to tie her shoes in that moment. I don't care if she was trying to order Chinese takeout for later tonight. I don't care what she was trying to do. What she did do is accelerate in the direction of a law enforcement officer. Okay? And I've had all these people who are like, oh, well, he wasn't going to be killed. It wasn't going to... How the heck is he supposed to know that? You got a lady in a 3,000, 4,000 pound car flooring it in your direction. How are you supposed to know if she's going to turn last minute? Oh, she was about to swerve. Oh, she started to turn the wheel a little bit. How do you know she wasn't going to go right, left? All you know is you hear the engine and you see a car driving directly toward you. You got to protect yourself. You got to look out for the lives of your fellow officers, any bystanders who might be around here. I think it is possible that woman was not trying to kill that law enforcement officer. I think it is certain, this is just speculation, I can't say, empirically, but in my opinion, it's headcanon to me, like Candace Owens would say. I don't know, but I know. No, I'm not doing that. I'm telling you, this is just what I'm quite certain personally of is that I think that she was trying to cause a scene. She's a lesbian, apparently. Her Facebook, like I said earlier, she was a professional provocateur, whatever the heck that means. Her lesbian, quote-unquote, wife was in the crowd filming the whole thing. So the wife is filming. Remember, she's in a car, so the wife was there, almost like this was staged. Like they intended for this to be some sort of an escalation, to get ICE to maybe like hit her or something, to try and prompt some sort of police, quote-unquote, police brutality moment so that they could get a good viral clip of her being like shoved onto the ground, something for their blog, something to get them social media clout. I think she wanted there to be some sort of force used against her. I don't think she was expecting to get shot in the head. Very few people do things with the expectation that they're going to get shot in the head. That's another level of crazy. She was a crazy lib. I don't know that she was that crazy, But it's also like, okay, people will say, well, he only got hit by the front bumper. Like, he only got hit a little bit. It wasn't that bad. How bad does a police officer have to get injured before he's allowed to defend himself with lethal force? When you have a lethal weapon against you, what do you got to have, like a leg cut off first? Were they expecting him to get hit with both sets of wheels or something? Like, boom, boom. You got to have the speed bump impact. If it's just one set of wheels, well, he only got ran over by half the car. Well, he only got hit by the car like a little bit. He only got clipped. You ever hit a deer, but you only hit it with just the edge of your car, still breaks its neck. He's supposed to, he only got hit a little bit. He's supposed to just, take that one on the chin? He's supposed to just get run over. Darn it. I had some people telling me, I did a live stream about this over on TikTok. I had people telling me, well, he shouldn't have been there. Really? Okay. Where should she have been, by the way? She shouldn't have been. Maybe she shouldn't have been trying to impede and block and stop the lawful duties of federal law enforcement officers while ignoring the lawful orders of federal law enforcement officers. But this idea that somebody's in front of you so you can hit him with your car, where did you people go get your driver's test? Obviously not you, the listener, but these people on the left, where the heck did they get their driver's test? And see, I was told if I hit a pedestrian, I'm at fault. Doesn't matter if they walked out in front of my car. You don't get to just hit people. Like if I'm sitting in a parking lot and there's a family of 4 in front of me, I don't get to just go and drive over the whole herd of people and say, well, I mean, Your Honor, why were they in front of my car? They shouldn't have been there. If they didn't want to get hit by a car, they probably shouldn't have been in front of my car. Is that what they're trying to say? Because if so, I mean, BLM, you're going to have a bad next riot. You go out into the street, just bum, 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 bum. And by the way, if you're in a car, I'm not saying you can't ever hit people with your car. Some liberals are going to take this out of context. They're going to clip it and they're going to be like, oh, Victor said. Like the next time somebody drives through a crowd of people at a BLM riot because they're like banging on it, they're about to Molotov cocktail his car, and so he floors it. He has to drive through a crowd of people, of rioters, to flee for his life or whatever. They're going to clip that and they'll be like, oh, Victor says you can't. No. Let me get out ahead of you there. There is a time and place. Sure, there's a time and place where you can hit somebody with your car. Few and far between, and basically none of them would apply to a federal law enforcement officer who is doing his job lawfully, who's telling you, hey, you have to get out of the car. The response to a lawful order should never be that you're going to floor it in your car in the direction of law enforcement. I would never in a million years support that. If you're a citizen and you're trying to come home from downtown and, you got a bunch of freaks who surround your car and they're banging on it, they're saying they're going to kill you and all that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. That's another story entirely. I guess you can do what you have to do in order to survive. But this whole situation, I mean, it is unfortunate. Like I said in the disclaimer, it's a little bit unfortunate. It's a lot unfortunate. Anytime somebody loses their life, it's sad. I hope and I pray that the Trump administration is going to provide for the legal defense for this individual. Because I don't know how all that's going to work with prosecution. I don't know if they're going to bring charges. I would assume that they're going to bring charges. Certainly there's going to be some sort of a civil situation. I don't know what legal protections the guy has. I don't know. But we've seen people. This ruins your life. And so this is the other thing. I mean, it literally ruins your life. To any of the liberals out there who think that this guy was just looking to shoot somebody, that's stupid. That's really, really stupid. The idea that a police officer wants to shoot somebody, tell that to any of these police officers who have been tried not only in court, but in the court of public opinion. This ruins their life. How do you get a job after that? Let's say that you have to defend yourself with lethal force. The rest of your life, if you end up in some big cancel riot mob thing, the star of one of these events, which happens so often, you get it on camera and then everything is... your life is ruined. Your family's life is ruined. Nobody wakes up. It's not like they get up in the morning and they're like, nice day to shoot somebody. I think I'll go ruin my professional career and trunce my family through the mud of, 3 years of prosecution and civil litigation and all this stuff so that I can shoot somebody. I feel like shooting somebody today. Do you really think that that's how law enforcement just wakes up and they say, I know what I'll do? No, that's a nightmare. That's a terrible, terrible worst case scenario nightmare. They only do it, or should only do it. There's bad apples, sure. They should only do it if they really believe that they're going to lose their life. And I think that this guy believes that. All right, moving on to Venezuela. We straight up kidnapped Maduro. Now, kidnap is probably an incorrect term. Don't don't take that with more weight than it's due. I'm using it colloquially because I don't know the actual official term for whenever you go in the middle of the night with Delta Force in an awesome, is super cool. So for a little bit of context for my sight on all of this, I was awake just by sheer happenstance the night that raid happened. And it happened like 1 a.m. Central Time. It was pretty late, like right in the middle of the night. And so I'm sitting there, I was on the phone with a friend or a Discord call or whatever, playing a game on the computer. And I pull up Twitter and it's like, I see these videos, bombs going off in Caracas. And I'm like, oh, snap. Because Trump's been talking about this for a while. The idea that he was going to, very clearly hinting that there was going to be some serious stuff going on in Venezuela, some sort of like a ground assault or a real bombing campaign. So I see this and I'm like, uh-oh, okay, something's actually popping off in Venezuela. And so then, any guys out there, you have to monitor the situation. It's very important. No matter what's going on, you have to tell the wife and the kids, hang on, honey, I'm busy. I have to monitor the situation, aka sit on Twitter and watch for the new videos to pop out because, this is very important that I understand these things. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching, I'm scrolling, and I'm talking to a friend. I say, you know what? I'm going to go to bed. I said, but based on the way everything that's playing out, I think we're going to have Maduro by morning. I think that's what they're doing. I think that they're going in because I'm not some military guy. I've never served. I'm just a guy. I'm just a random guy. I play chess. That's the closest I get. I have a strategic brain or whatever. I saw some war movies one time. If that gets me any, obviously all jokes. But no, I saw it and I thought they have helicopters. They have all this going on. I feel like they have people on the ground. I mean, it seems like this is more than just blowing up random targets. It would seem like we're there to get Maduro, which is kind of what we had been. If you read between the lines, it looked like that was the case. And so then I wake up in the morning, I check my phone. I'm like, holy cow, they actually did it. They just went and got the guy. I don't know how. Wouldn't it be cool to have been a fly on the wall? And to see that, and there's been a lot of people within MAGA who their immediate reaction was very negative toward this. I was a little bit surprised, not that surprised, because look, I don't want to call myself an isolationist, because I'm not. I'm just America first. I'm not a believer in regime change, and so when it happens, like categorically, I'm not a believer in regime change, especially when it happens on the other side of the world. So if it happens in Iran, when that was the conversation of the day was that we were going to blow up Iran and we were going to get rid of all these people. We were going to replace them with some democratic Western democracy or something like that. Yeah, that's not our business, in my opinion. That's not our job. That's not what we should be doing. And so I understand why there were a lot of people who are saying, no, I don't want a foreign war. No, I don't want to go and kidnap people, or there are people saying, oh, this is a violation of international law. Frankly, who gives a crap? What are you going to do? Sue us? You're going to sue us in the Court of International Justice or whatever it's called, where we don't even show up. We don't even bother. Like half the time they sue us and we don't even send representation. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got a B-2 bomber? What are you going to do in the court? Oh, no, the United States, you're not allowed to invade Venezuela. That's I don't care. I didn't ask. Who the heck cares? So for one thing, as the United States, we are the global hegemon. We're the big guy on campus, and we have there's so many problems that comes with that. There's so many issues that we deal with, so many cons. One of the few pros is that international law can be summarized by a picture of a B-2 bomber. That's what international law is. Shut up about, oh, you're not allowed to do this. Oh, you're not allowed to do that. No, there's real countries. There's fake countries. There's countries that exist at the mercy of other countries. The United States is the big dog. We're the greatest military and economic superpower on the face of the earth. And because of that, we eat a lot of crap. And from time to time, yeah, we can go, and if we want to, we can go and we can execute a bounty on this guy Maduro. By the way, we had like a multi-million, $50 million, I think it was, bounty on him. He was the leader of a cartel. So we went and arrested a cartel member. He just so happened to be the guy leading a country, and a total dictator, a terrible, evil, awful. I mean, you talk to any of these people who lived in Venezuela, they had family that lived in Venezuela. There were like 8 million, 9 million people who had to leave, who had to flee the country because it was so horrible, because socialism works so well, right? You have this evil dictator, Maduro. He had privatized the oil industry. They had like trillions of dollars, by the way. I think it was $17 trillion worth of oil estimated in the refineries, or, at least accessible through the refineries in Venezuela. So now we're going to be selling a lot of that. Hopefully we're going to profit. Let me introduce an idea to some people who may this might seem foreign, because we've been so public school brained, and we have this idea that, like, even though we're the global hegemon, we're the protector of the free world, all other Western nations exist because of us. Our adversaries exist because of our mercy. that, we have this idea that like, oh, we're never supposed to flex those guns. We're never supposed to profit. We're never supposed to benefit. That's suicidal. That's idiotic. We're the greatest empire, and we're not, loosely using the word, we're the greatest empire on the face of the earth. Whatever happened to the idea that we expand and take territory and profit for the United States? Everybody else, literally everybody else does it. This very liberal idea of like, oh, it's okay. Every country is equal. We're all going to hold hands and stuff like that. No, take the oil. I might as well. I mean, take the oil. We're going through all this trouble. We just liberated the country from this horrible, evil dictator. Marco Rubio is going to be running the joint, which is awesome. Poor Marco Rubio, the guy of a million hats. But take the oil. Profit the United States. That doesn't mean that we just like leave Venezuela a wasteland. I'm not saying that we like do something bad to the people of Venezuela, but there should be something. It'll give us a little kickback whenever it comes to taking this Maduro guy out of here. That was awesome, though. And so let me explain why I support this so much. I thought it was so cool. For one, what an amazing, amazing military that we have. Delta Force, we're hearing reports that they killed like 32 people. There were these Cuban special forces guys or whatever that were sent there to guard Maduro, just slaughtered them like it was nothing. They were easy peasy, bing, bang, boom, they're all gone. Delta Force doesn't play around. These guys are super, 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 super serious. They're some of the absolute best special forces in the entire world, and they proved it. I mean, you would think, like, how does this even happen? Like, you would think that they showed up and they tractor beamed the guy out of his house. How do you even pull something like this off? How do you go and kidnap the guy and then take him back in a Nike jumpsuit with, I don't know, a blindfold on and all of that stuff? It's just cool. There's just no two ways about it. It's just objectively cool, and the people of Venezuela were so happy about it, and I'm very happy to see that they're enjoying it. But why do I support this, whereas I would not support it if we just went and yoinked like the leader of Iran, for example? Maybe I would if we could pull it off. The difference between this and the historical examples of regime changes, this took like 4 hours. We were in, we were out, not a single serviceman died. We killed some adversaries. Okay, that's fine and dandy, but we got the guy, we took him back. The deed is done. We can basically wipe our hands of it. We got to prosecute the guy. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. When it came to all of the other regime change nonsense that we always did in the past, it was at the behest of and to the profit of the military-industrial complex. So this is something where we would go in. It was never-ending. It was never-ending checks. It was never-ending loss of limbs for innocent Americans who were just trying to serve their country, and they were being sent over into a meat grinder by people like Lindsey Graham, who just love to have war. That is what we are so accustomed to, and so that's why there's such this disgust when we think of the idea of regime change, because historically the United States sucks at it. Apparently Trump does not, which should have every other world leader a little bit spooked. By the way, Russia, that's how you do that. For what it's worth, Russia has spent all of this time and effort trying to annex Ukraine or whatever. Trump spent 4 hours and just sacked Venezuela like it was nothing. Just took the head of state. Yeah, he just wanted that guy. Just snatched that guy real quick. Anyway, so not only is it a pretty big flex on the international stage, this is our backyard, okay? Monroe Doctrine. This is what we have to keep in mind. Way back early in our nation's history, we had this thing called the Monroe Doctrine, where we told the European nations to go kick rocks. This is our hemisphere. This is our side of the planet. We decide what happens here, not you. You can do your little piddling around over in Europe. You can do your stuff over, in the Middle East or whatever. That's your business. That's your backyard. We're not interested. Do not, you Europeans or, Russians, Chinese, whatever, you don't come here. That's always been the idea. The Monroe Doctrine makes perfect sense. It's our backyard. I pulled it up. It's like something around 400 or 500,000 young people have died because of drugs. So Venezuela, you have the Venezuelan president running one of these cartels. They're sending in drugs. They're sending in these drug boats, all sorts of issues. This is our backyard. It's not some random sand place on the other side of the planet that none of us could find on a map. This is a regime and a man specifically. It's not like we declared war on Venezuela. The Venezuelans are very happy right now. They wouldn't be happy if we were at war with Venezuela. Duh. We went in and we did a targeted operation against a specific individual that the United States wanted to get. And we got it. This is not something that's going to last 15 years. This didn't spark a war. There was no war. By the way, people said, it's really funny the way that the left, such bad faith, dishonest people, they come out and they say, actually, the president of the United States can't do this. Didn't you know that Article 1, I can't do the voice for too long. Didn't you know in Article 1 that it says the power to wage war or declare war belongs in the hands of Congress? Didn't you know that? And it's funny because they had no issue with it when Barack Hussein Obama was blowing people up in Syria. You know what they don't know? History lesson. I'll be brief on this. The United States of America, fact check me. You're not going to think I'm telling the truth. This is going to seem like it's impossible, but it is true. Look it up right now. Google it. The United States of America has not declared war officially. Congress has not officially declared war in accordance with Article 1, the way that we're supposed to, since 1942. World War II. We have not been at war since 1942. How the heck is that even possible? In 1973, I won't give you the whole thing. In 1973, there was a resolution, I believe it was called the War Powers Resolution of 1973, that actually was trying to kind of restrict what the president could and could not do. You got to keep in mind that's like Korea, Vietnam. That's that timeline of American history. There's a lot of questions about it. Congress doesn't want to declare war. Okay? Congress has that power. They are supposed to jealously guard the powers that were given to them by the Constitution, but they don't want that one. It's a deeply unpopular one. Nobody wants to have to go back home to their constituents and say, yes, Miss Smith, I voted to declare war, and now your son is dead. Nobody wants to do that. So congressmen and women are most often worried primarily about keeping their seat. Voting on wars is not something they have really any interest in doing. So instead, they can scapegoat. They can give that power, which was delegated to them, to the president of the United States and say, well, we authorize you to do temporary military actions, which is essentially what has happened in every freaking case since 1942. They've said the president gets to do this. The president has to notify them of certain things, like within 48 hours. He has to say, here's what I did, blah, 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 blah. By the way, he didn't tell Congress beforehand, which was brilliant for operational security, because a Democrat would have leaked it. If Trump would have told one of them and said, hey, these are our battle plans, Maduro wouldn't have been there, because AOC or, I don't know, Ilhan Omar or, I don't know, whatever, some of these people, I can't even pronounce their names, they would have told the media. By the way, I think that the media may have known. Maybe they would have just told social media. I heard that potentially the New York Times had got wind of it and chose not to publish, which, if true, that's awesome. I don't give them credit very often, but flowers where flowers are due. If they knew about the story and they kept it silent, thumbs up on that one. But anyways, the president of the United States has been allowed to do this for a very long time. If Congress wants to rein in the president, by all means, I'm in favor of the constitutionally delegated powers belonging to he whom they were delegated, which in this case be Congress. There's some modern day, reasons why we might want to allow. It's a very fast-paced world, and so I can understand an argument as to why we would want the president to be able to make unilateral decisions quickly without an approval of Congress, because Congress can't get anything done. Time and information travels very, very quickly now. We have supersonic jets and things like that they didn't have back in the day. So I understand why we would need to have it. But it's so funny, they never had an issue with it whatsoever until all of a sudden right now. Turns out, yeah, actually, they kind of have delegated that power to the president and said, yeah, you get to do it. You get to make those calls because we are too cowardly to make those calls like we're supposed to. So we're going to push it off and just let the president do it. Alrighty, well, fourth and final segment today. The time has flown by. This show, it's been too packed. Maybe I should have done 2 hours today. I don't know. Stay tuned on YouTube. I'll be maybe posting more about some of this stuff as we go on. Maybe there's things that need to be given 30, 40 minutes just to one conversation. But a couple of things I want to get to before we run out of time here today. Donald Trump has significantly gone after the vaccine schedule, which, if you're not aware, children are absolutely pumped full of vaccines these days. In some cases, you get one physical injection, but you get like 5 actual injections because it's a cocktail. They have a whole bunch of these. The president eliminated 61 recommendations. 61 vaccine recommendations, which, by the way, to all the freaks and degenerates and weirdos out there who lack the brain cells required for critical thinking, no, he didn't outlaw them, right? I see people saying, oh no, President Trump, the meningitis or whatever, they took away this, oh, you're not recommended to give your kids, this vaccine or that vaccine. You can still give your kid the vaccine, okay? Just for the record, you don't have to get, you can still do it if you want to. I'm not recommending that you just go and dump a bajillion cocktail vaccines into your child. I think that there's almost an undeniable connection between that and severe autism at this point in time, and all sorts of like autoimmune diseases and all sorts of long-term chronic health issues. I think that's my opinion on it, is that it's not smart, just from a common sense perspective, to shoot your young child with these massive drug cocktails. If you want it, though, you can still go get your vaccine, and then you don't have to worry about it. If you're worried about everybody else in the entire world, oh, you're very altruistic or whatever, you go get your freaking vaccines. And the rest of us, if we don't want to get them, we're not going to get them. And by the way, I used to be one of those people. I never got a flu shot. But COVID, right? I'm vaccinated. I'm a vaccinated person, begrudgingly, regretfully. I mean, this was before, my parents were always kind of skeptical, but this was before the days of people like really going all out in a big public way, and there being more information public about it. I had like the chickenpox vaccine. I had probably meningitis. I know I got some tetanus shot. What everybody got. The stuff that you had to have like to go to public school. Of course, I had those. I didn't get the exemptions or anything. I'm fine. I don't think I have too many issues. Maybe a little bit. No, I'm kidding. But maybe I have some problems. I'm not sure. But if you want to give your kid the vaccine, you still can. Trump is just saying that it makes common sense to space these things out. We've seen a skyrocketing rate of autism. We've seen autoimmune diseases. We've seen allergies. We've seen all sorts of issues that we didn't see. I know that they try to give an explanation for it. They try to say, oh, well, it's because we changed our diagnostic criteria, or, oh, well, it's because of this, oh, well, it's because of that. No, that doesn't account for it. We're talking about an unbelievable expansion. And so to see the removal of 61 vaccines from the vaccine recommendation schedule is fantastic. And again, if you want to get your kids vaccinated, feel free. You still can. If you don't want to get your kids vaccinated, you shouldn't be pressured like this. Now, there's all sorts of pharmaceutical incentives and financial incentives for the medical industry. You're still probably going to be pressured, but at least you're not being pressured by the federal government. When COVID came out, there were so many of us who were like me, like as I was just describing, we didn't get the flu shots every year or anything, but we had some of the normal, chicken pox or whatever. COVID changed everything because we got to see just how corrupt that whole system is. We got to see Dr. Fauci. It created a platform for the people who have been saying this for many years. And by the way, to their credit, there have been people fighting against this vaccine stuff for many, many years. Nobody was listening. And so because of COVID, we all kind of woke up in a very short period of time to just how bad all of this was, just how many experiments basically were being conducted on us, how bad our national health had gotten. The MAHA, the Make America Healthy Again movement, is one of the most politically ingenious, but also genuinely grassroots movements that we've seen in a very long time. I think it probably still has the highest favorability rating of any political movement right now in the entire country. We don't want our kids to be fat and dumb. Like, that's just a good idea, generally speaking. And so, one of the other things, by the way, as we talk about the Maha thing, Trump just inverted the food pyramid. Awesome. Brilliant. Absolute. Another chef's kiss to that one. He inverted the food pyramids, and it's eat real food. That's like, he just put it out today. Eat real food. This is what we need to be doing. Eating real freaking food. We used to be recommended by these so-called health professionals, eat a whole big bowl of Frosted Flakes every morning. That's part of a mixed diet, a nutritious diet. No, eat beef. Go eat some beef. Go eat some eggs. Go eat real butter. I want you to go and grab a steak. This is my advice, dietary advice from somebody who's not qualified to give it, but is genuinely a very healthy individual. I don't eat seed oils. I don't talk about this. Let's give a little bit of personal information here. I don't eat seed oils. I don't eat out at restaurants. Very rarely. If I do, it's like a sushi restaurant or something like that. I never, and it's like once in a million years or something that I'll go out to. I don't eat fast food. I don't cook with canola oil. I don't cook with seed oils. I cook with avocado oil. I cook with olive oil. I cook real grass-fed, grass-finished beef. We do like fresh from the farm, or as close as we can as we can possibly get in everything. Whether it's like chicken, we try and get it organic and this and blah, 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 blah. The eggs, we try to do the same thing. Real butter, we cook in butter. Butter's good, and avocados and whole food, real stuff, sourdough. These are the things that you're supposed to survive off of. You're not supposed to survive off of this filth, this slop that we've been given, and that our children. our children have been given. And so the inversion of the food pyramid is something that the Maha people have been advocating for a very long time. I'm telling you, the last 7 days of this administration, it's like, I don't know, there was this weird period of time for a little while where they were doing stupid stuff and I was not very happy with it. The last 7 days, man, if we get 3 more years of the last 7 days, I won't even know what to say. I'm going to be like curled up in a ball in the fetal position or something on the ground because I'm just going to be too much. It's going to be Trump will have finally been right. And that old SNL skit, I'll be calling him on the phone. I'll be saying, Mr. President, it's too much winning. We can't handle it. It's too much winning. I don't know. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't happen. But the last 7 days have been absolutely amazing. If this is what I can see it. I can see what too much winning would potentially look like is the last 7 days. I can't even keep up with all of it. There have been so many amazing things. The Maha side of stuff. We had the Monroe Doctrine coming back alive and well. So gangster taking Maduro. I just think that's absolutely awesome. The vaccine stuff, it's all great. Let's talk about the hammer. I think it was a hammer wielding transgender lunatic attacked JD Vance's house. Not much to that story. It's just exactly how it sounds. We had another weird, deranged, transgender, violent individual. I'm telling you, this is a mental illness. It's nothing more. It's a sexual perverted kink, is what it is. It's like a fetish, basically. It's a disgusting sexual fetish for deeply mentally ill people who are often they suffer. I think they call it a comorbidity. I don't know what the technical. That's probably the wrong word. They have a lot of other things wrong. They have a lot of mental health, like depression and suicidal, and all these different things that they have going on. And then you have this weird sexual side of things. They're very violent, very, very violent people, and it's been a trend. Unfortunately, in the United States for the last couple of years, we've seen example after example after example of this teeny tiny micro section of the population that continues to be in the news all the time for trying to kill people, hitting somebody with a hammer, trying to break into JD Vance's house. That's what this guy was doing. He's trying to break in, like smashing up windows and stuff like that. JD wasn't home or the guy probably would have been shot killed. I don't know if it's a guy either. I don't know. It was one of them snip snappers, a shapeshifter, if you will. But the other thing, oh my goodness, I don't want to forget about this. The other thing, this is so huge. Again, like literally, we can't keep track of everything that the administration's been doing. The institutional investor ban. People don't know this, but some of these massive, massive groups have been buying up homes, which is artificially increasing. It's inflating the price of all of the homes. By the way, if you're one of those people, it's kind of a running joke. Nobody take it to heart too heavily. But we've got these boomers who will sell their house like $100,000 above listing to I don't know, like Blackwater or something like that. And, okay, instead of selling it to the young couple who's trying to buy their first home, it's like, to heck with those guys. I'm going to sell it to these institutional investors who are buying thousands of houses and then jacking the prices up so that there's this artificially created housing shortage, or maybe worsening a legitimate housing shortage is perhaps the better way to describe it. The administration is working on banning that. So I don't know exactly what's going to go into that. There are some concerns. I'm sure that they're going to work around those. For example, LLCs should be able to buy a home. You can. It's one of the ways you can protect yourself from, if you're like a public figure, perhaps you might do an LLC and then put your house in the LLC so that technically you don't own it, but the house does, or the LLC owns it, so that if you get sued, people can't sue you out of your house, or maybe different, whatever it is. There's a lot of reasons, is what I'm trying to say. There's strategic reasons as to why some individuals should be able to put their house in as an LLC. I think that will still be protected. I think that he's just going to go after like Vanguard and some of these massive, massive, institutional investors. Why are they buying thousands of homes? Why is that allowed? People buy homes. People live in homes. Massive corporations don't live in homes. They don't need to be buying homes. And so anyways, it's been a great new year, folks. I pray for you. I ask that you would pray for me. Hopefully this is going to be an amazing, amazing new year. Till next time, God bless.